It's Friday. It's 4 o'clock. I'm knackered. That's what I can say. Shout out to Jeffy, who hasn't been very well. But we're missing you, Jeffy. Well, I'm not, but some of them might be. We've had a busy week here. We've had some trips to see some cows. Although, we will discuss later, there must be a fair... Right, Johnny, look up fear of cows.
Cowophobia.
They can't be called cowophobia, moophobia, something. I found out that my news editor, who allegedly... What's it called?
Bovinophobia.
Bovinophobia, right. My news editor, daughter of a Gurkha commando, slit people's throats in the second. She's hardcore. She's afraid of cows. We'll discuss that later. Yes. Get in touch. Hashtag Short Fuse on Twitter. But let's get on with the story of the week, and that is about wind. Plenty of it gusting around. So Renewable UK says, gives us more wind farms, because it's saying the wind farms, and I was quite surprised at this, some of our early wind farms are now 25 years old. That's quite interesting. So that first generation, they say, are coming to end of life. So what you need to do is start replacing them, and they say that about 8 gigawatts is under threat. Now, that's equivalent, according to their stuff, about sort of 17, basically 1/5 of the nation's sort of power. And it says that this is because we've gone cold on it, and obviously, you know, you see the video, mostly we like to build offshore, because no one wants one of these things in their back garden. So Renewable UK is saying, oi government, in the week of all the climate stuff, which, my God, we'll discuss later, you should be doing more to safeguard the continuity of wind power. Now, this is all very good, but what is very interesting here is that if you look at what these wind farms do, end of life in 25 years isn't that long, or 20 years, some of them. So you think about that, that means those assets are going to be changed at least 3-4 times during the same life cycle as a nuclear power station, which is interesting, you know, as part of where that debate goes on what's there. And also, it does make me ask the question, what happens to these wind turbines? What will we do with them? Can we recycle them, put them away? Who knows? I think there's a big kind of pollution stroke ecological issue and on sustainability issue about wind turbines, which we think we've had a little stab at, but we want to explore a bit more. But going back to the main point, yes, I can see that where we're going, we will need more wind power. But the real problem is very, very simple. What can the government do except build offshore? And offshore building is very, very tricky, because you've got to build in the sea, and the sea is a ferocious place. And there are fishes and other animals and all of that stuff you've got to watch out for. So it takes longer. You can build more, so you can have vast swathes, as we've got huge offshore sort of farms up near, just off the coast near Liverpool, and also down off the coast of Norfolk, the two that come to mind, and plenty more on the pipeline. But to try and get the ones that were built on shore replaced, I think that will be tricky. Renewable UK said build on the sites that already exist. And that is probably one way of doing it. You could just say, where there was a wind farm, let's replace it. But remember what happens. If you've had a chance of now saying, actually, these wind farms are coming to end of life, do I have the right to object to a new wind farm coming in? I don't know what the planning laws will be. This will be interesting, because you might find developers going, well, actually, that's prime land, we want to develop on it. Plus, the main thing is, dare I say it, who wants one of these things? Yeah, do you really want one of these things out your back window when you're looking out? There was a story this week about a lady who lives near Stansted Airport, and they've sort of changed the way the runways work, and she can now see the planes out of her back garden. Now, you know, that's not nightmarish enough, but imagine wind turbines, which can keep going, and if you've ever been close to one, they are very, very noisy. So I do think, yes, there's a point of us trying to do more wind and replacing that kind of fleet, if you want to call it, that we are about to lose. But my real fear is, where would it be? The only way I can see us getting more wind is doing offshore, and that, I think, will cost too much. Anyway, what's your views? Give us a shout. Now it's on to someone with bovine interests at heart. Frank of the Anchor.
in.
Go on then.
Okay.
Don't even
Go
start.
on what?
Don't even start. So tell me
No.
what I did this week.
You know,
I said
having
you and
thought about
Tia.
this-
Yeah, I said to you and Tia, go down to Cornwall. She's never been to Cornwall.
Yeah.
Beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
Go into a farm, which is all like a homestay kind of place, all kind of renewable,
Mm-hmm.
with animals, lots of cows. And what do?
I run away from them.
Why did you run away from the cows?
Because Tia was getting some GVs.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm going to get some video on my phone as well. As I was doing that, there was this particular cow, brown in color. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it was literally staring at me. And as I was moving, it kept looking at me the whole way through.
It was just
And-
going, what are you? That's what it was doing.
Yes, but I thought it might just break the fence and just
How
come
could
at
it?
me.
Have we got
I
the
have no
have we got that
idea.
video again, Rob? Can you put it up? Right, so there's some
That's the
chickens to start
That's,
with.
Tia's favorite.
You weren't scared of them, were you? Look,
No, I didn't
how
see
are they
the
going to break
chickens.
that down? What are they, King Kong of cows?
I don't know, but I was scared. But also, the reason why we did not do a piece to camera in front of the cows is because
Yes.
lack of time. We didn't have enough
Oh
time.
God, there's always
if
time.
if we had done a piece to camera in front of the cows,
Yeah.
Tia wouldn't have had the chance to get all the GVs of the cows and the chickens and the sheep.
yeah. Okay. Anyway,
quite tight.
but you'll
Yes, but the
be
reason-
bringing that film to people.
Yes, but just to give people an idea about why we went.
Yes.
This was about the Cornwall Local Energy Market, which is being trialled by Centrica.
Yeah.
And this is about buying and selling energy, selling it to National Grid and getting an incentive
Very good.
through that. So-
And you'll be making a film about that for
Yes,
next week.
that's
Good.
right.
All right, let's crack on with your stories this week.
Okay, so first up, it's about breaking a record in the UK.
Wow.
And it's not just any record, it's a coal-free record.
Dun dun dun.
So this is, I think, the first time this year, if I remember correctly. So last weekend during the Easter holidays, we had a lot of sun. So that meant there was a boost of solar power,
Boost.
which also resulted in the UK not using any power from coal-fired power stations.
Although we have very few left, anyway.
Yes, and they'll be closing down over the next couple of months.
no,
Well,
years.
25 years.
Yes, 5 years. Well, 6 years.
6
2025.
years,
Yeah.
So it broke the record. The previous record was for 76 hours and 10 minutes, and that was in April last year.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this year, over the Easter break, was 90 hours without coal, which is pretty significant.
It's like watching the end of vinyl, isn't it? Or
We
CDs.
shall see.
We shall see. All right.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, significant enough, and it seems to happen whenever it's Easter, which is quite weird.
Yeah, that is weird because it was
Yeah.
April last year as well.
I think that's because with that time of year you get a lot of wind, which is great, and then if you're lucky, we got a solar.
Yeah.
Next one. Now
Next
this
one.
is a bit of a shit story.
Yes, I'm sure you've heard a lot about fatbergs. I don't know. Are you meant to say the S word? No.
Yeah,
not
it's our
allowed.
show. We can say what we want.
So you've heard a lot about fatbergs, but this is a new thing, which is concrete berg.
This just
Now,
is
what
ridiculous.
is it? You shall ask.
I won't ask because I think it's pretty obvious.
So basically, Thames Water has said this is another record-breaking
Oh God.
concrete berg,
Yes.
as they call it. It weighs 105 tons,
Right.
and it's blocked the sewers in Islington in London. So this, because they'll be carrying out works to get rid of this
Yes.
blockage.
Imagine that job.
Yeah, they're going to be using loads. I think they're going to have to be done manually as well,
Oh.
because we've heard of that with fatbergs in the past. So they say this blockage is because of people pouring down concrete in the sewers, which is, I'm guessing it's gotta be
People,
construction
why would you do
workers.
that? Why?
Exactly,
Even Robert wouldn't do that. No, there you go.
arguably.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Why would you pour concrete down a drain?
Why, you ask?
Do you know what? There was
Let
a
us know,
film.
send us a
There was a
comment.
film years ago. You're too young to know this, but there was a great 80s
Oh,
film.
yeah, I am
Goo-
very young to
yeah,
know
Google it, Johnny. He'll do it. I think it was called Alligator or something like that. And it's about a bloke who buys a little alligator and he washes it down the drain, and then it eats all the weird toxic waste and becomes enormous, and then just eats people. Right?
So this reminds
This
me of
is
that.
it.
So maybe we'll see something coming out of it.
I think we could. This could be like,
Referring to the 1980 film.
that's it.
Alligator.
Alligator, 1980. See, it's a cracker. You should watch it, Johnny. You'd love it. So what are they saying about this? I mean, how do you stop idiots throwing concrete? I mean, what the hell?
The whole debate was about getting people not
To stop oil and- yeah.
oil, grease, fat,
Nappies.
wet wipes, nappies, and now I mean concrete. I think it's the first of its. One of the first.
I'm waiting for a
that's this big.
dustbin berg or something else. A car
Weird,
berg.
massive thing
People
that
just throw
blocks
cars
the
down.
way.
So this is going to cost loads of money.
This is going to cost, Thames Water says, at least several thousands of pounds.
Hundreds of thousands, I would have thought.
Or hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
This is also going to likely to cause traffic disruptions over the next 2 months in the area
Good
around
God.
Islington. So Thames Water, just to give an idea, they spend about £18 million every year
Wow.
to kind of get rid of the blockages as a result of mostly
People.
fatbergs. Yeah.
Stop it.
So just remember the 3 Ps. The only 3 Ps
P?
that you can flush down the toilet.
Poo?
And
I have no idea what the last one is. Pythagoras?
no, it's toilet roll, but what's another word for it? Paper.
Oh. Well, paper can mean different things to people.
But
So
I mean toilet
we won't
paper.
discuss that. In Tia's neck of the woods, it means something completely different, doesn't it? And then finally, I don't know why you... But this is
Finally.
not a news story.
So this is a news story only because
Oh, God.
we've got the Game of Thrones craze going on right now, and if you've already seen the video behind me, I'm sure you've seen it on his YouTube channel, and it's been covered by almost everyone in the media.
Bloke shaves off beard.
He's not just any bloke, he's called Drogo.
Who's that?
So Game of Thrones character, very
Right.
famous for his beard. He's had his beard since 2012.
Right.
Um,
Why
and
didn't he shave
so
it off
he's
in
shaving it
where
off
everyone else
now
does it, in their bathroom?
Because
Because he'd go and create a fatberg out of his
because
beard.
he wants to raise awareness about
Uh-huh.
plastic pollution.
What's that got to do with his beard?
So because he's known for his beard, his whole
Right.
look, his image is around the
Right.
beard.
Okay.
And also, I guess because Game of Thrones is currently on.
Yeah, I
people
get
are
all
going
that, but
crazy
where's
about
the
it.
plastic bit?
So he's made a video about this, and he's saying, as he's doing that in the video, he says, okay, we have to stop pollution, plastic pollution. You need to, I think his words were,
Have I missed something here?
His words are, he's doing this to bring awareness that plastics are killing the planet. So he thought, okay, just as a regular guy who goes to the toilet and shaves his beard off, he thought, why not use my beard for something good? So he films it. or
Do you know, we
gets
do some
someone to film
tenuous
it.
stories. I thought it was something about, you know, the plastic in your Bic razors or other brands that are out there. So this is just, I want
Just
more
for the good of the
publicity.
planet.
Or for the good of his agent.
Good for the planet. What
He
is
is-
good for the
he is
planet?
fit though, isn't he?
And I mean, he is a very good-looking man.
You can't say that, that's really sexist. If I sat there and said she's a top-looking bird, you'd be like, outrageous!
Well, I'm saying a man. He's good-looking. As if you look at him, what do you think? What would you say? He's ugly.
I think he's a beardy bloke who's done a
Well,
lot
he
of
doesn't
publicity.
have a beard anymore.
Yeah, but that's... Do you know what? Well done to your agent. What's he called? Mimosa.
Momoa,
Jason Momoa. Jason,
No,
if you're
but he's
watching...
Khal Drogo.
All right, Carl Drogo, whatever your name is. Well done. Your agent has done a brilliant job for you there, mate. Masses of
And
publicity.
actually, Tia had come up with this idea of doing a poll on Twitter with his before and after look, with the beard, without the beard, and see.
All right, hasn't that been
what
done
he
on
votes for.
Insta or other things that young people use?
Not that I've
Yeah, but
seen
not-
anyway.
Not for us.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
not energy related.
All right, okay.
Plastic
Well, there's
pollution.
no energy relation to this story. So
Stop
basically,
using plastic.
this
It's
story is simply
basically-
because you fancy him, you put this picture in there,
I
and you ran the
wouldn't-
story.
No, that
That's
wasn't my
basically it.
comment. I haven't said that. Sumi, you need to stop putting words in
I'm
my
not putting
mouth.
words in. I'm just saying this. It's obvious. If that was I don't know, the
only-
Speaker of the House shaving his beard off, he had a beard.
The only reason I've put this story in as part of my story this week
Yes.
is because he's Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones, and people are really gearing up to watch the Game of Thrones season, the final season, over the coming weeks. And Tia has given me 2 thumbs up so far.
Excellent.
Thanks, Tia.
So dwarves and lots of dodgy sex. That's great.
yes.
That's where the world is.
Okay.
All
I'm
right.
so-
Any more?
sorry about that. Sumi,
But it's
going
true
off
though,
on
isn't
me.
it? I mean, it's dwarves and dodgy sex and dragons.
So if you have any stories for us, if you would like us to come and
And
film,
men without beards.
you can send it through to
One quick thing.
stories@energylivenews.com.
Has he lost his beard in the Game of Thrones? Is he like Game of
No, I don't
Shaving
think,
Thrones
no,
now?
no. He's got his beard.
Okay.
I think he's finished filming and now he's getting rid of his
All right.
beard.
All right. Thank you, Pri.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Goodbye. Oh my God! It's time for the best. Oh yeah, it's time for the banter.
Ready to rumble!
Jesus, how long does it take you? Why are you wearing the old on message T-shirt?
Well, I wanted to, represent.
My God. Right.
I've shaved my beard. It's kind of good.
Yeah, exactly. We won't talk about what your beard looks like. Anyway, right. If I wasn't annoyed enough by the previous item, I'm going to get very annoyed by this one.
Yeah, we've got someone else to objectify.
Right, go for it then.
Okay, so everyone knows this week and the last week, my favourite people, Extinction Rebellion, have been taking over London, protesting, gluing their breasts to things, getting naked in Parliament, standing on top of DLR trains, disrupting life basically across the city, but all for a good cause, because they're saying that there's a climate emergency, which is we have a very limited amount of time left to react to climate change. They say politicians aren't doing enough, and yeah, they're trying to draw attention to it. And the figurehead, of this movement is Greta or Greta, I think Greta Thunberg, who is a Swedish 16-year-old girl with, is it Asperger's? And she basically has become the voice of this movement, and Sumit hates her. So we're here to talk about it. I think she's a great example for the youth of today.
That is pants. Okay, so let me just preface this by saying, look, everyone has the right to protest.
Very quickly before we start, can I just point out that we're assessing her on her merit as a human being rather than her looks?
What's that got to do with
Unlike the
anything?
women of this office.
Yeah, true. That is very true, actually. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
we're not being
we're
shallow.
all about the inside.
We're all about the inside. Anyway, put that aside.
Angelina Jolie or someone.
Absolutely. And do it.
Excuse me, she's
Now,
an environmental campaigner too.
now, my big problem with this has been all week is very simple. And we had disruption, right? So we're down to do some filming. And guess what we had to do? We had to get an Uber. And then the Uber had to drive miles round, burning more fuel to get around the protesters,
Yeah, but
right?
that's only a short-term blip.
Don't give me this short-term blip
You're going to
rubbish,
be more
right?
inconvenienced when our office
Oh,
floods.
yeah, okay.
He will be.
So,
I won't be
it's
lost.
very interesting that all these climate protesters have decided to end their protests yesterday, just to coincide with the end of the Easter holidays. So they can go back to their middle-class jobs and then go, oh, look at me. I have a real problem with these protesters because I don't mind you protesting, but why don't you just protest in one place, which is, if you want to do it, take it to Parliament, right? Fair enough. If you disrupt loads of people, what are you doing? And what are you doing for the people who rely on getting around London for their livelihood, the poorer people particularly, right? Rich people can do what they like. They can ponce about, it doesn't matter.
But the ends justify the means.
No, the hell it does. And you know you don't believe any of that.
I agree.
And my problem with this girl is, who is she? Who is she? Basically, this is an example of the media spin machine going bonkers for a girl who basically, comes from a very privileged. Her mum was some Eurovision singer, right? So there you go.
We have that clip.
Yeah. So
Her mum
she's
is awful. I've got to be honest.
Her dad is an actor. Her grandfather was some scientist. She's from a very privileged family. Now,
Yeah, but
that
even
doesn't
if she
stop.
came from the moon, she still has a point. She's saying climate change is a problem.
She
Susan has
has.
certain friends and he's listened to their ideas about climate change and things have gone a bit.
Listen, my big problem is very simple, right? You cannot have someone who basically said, right, and this apparently, what we hear is what she said. She said she stopped going to school. First of all, this is the killer line.
On Friday.
She realised, at the age of 8, that the world was doomed by climate change.
Well,
now,
I would
my
agree with
niece
that.
is 7.5. She cares about My Little Pony.
Well, what would we
She's
rather
not
young people
thinking,
care about?
oh,
You
the
say
hell.
millennials. You say millennials don't care about these things.
And then the girl
And then
says,
the young girl takes
she
control.
then says she doesn't need to go to school because everything we know about climate science has already been proved.
I agree.
You're an idiot if you believe that. So science doesn't move on then.
I think,
So you're too young to remember, obviously, but in the early
no, but we haven't caught up to
1970s,
science yet.
in the early 1970s, we predicted a massive ice age
Yeah.
for this time. Didn't happen, right? We
I
have
don't know who
got.
predicted that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I haven't read that
IPCC.
report.
Oh, there we go. So we've got a situation here now where we have a girl, fair play, she wants to do a bit of protesting, great. She's now, I don't blame her. I don't blame this kid, right? She's clearly been pushed forward, I think, by pushy parents, because it's a lot of publicity, and they've written a
Probably.
book
I would
about
agree.
it.
I would agree.
They've written a book about it,
But then-
about their daughter and what she's doing for the world. And I wonder what her sister thinks.
No,
That'd be an
I
interesting
agree
one.
that, you know...
But I
she's-
don't blame her. I blame this is the example that's always pissed me off, frankly, which is politicians jump on bandwagons and they just go, oh, look, this is a cause celeb. Let's stick her in front of Davos. Let's stick her in the UN. When actually you could get people from the energy sector, you could get scientists, you could get other people and listen
Yeah,
to
but
them.
they're all scared of losing their jobs.
Yeah.
So they don't say the truth of it because it's too dramatic.
And then to end it all, the boob protester. So let's look at this one. So this woman superglued her boobs, her breasts, her mammary glands.
I'm
what
not
do you
sure it was
say?
the best way to go about things.
Oh God! And she did that. She did that in front of a city institution. And this is the other thing. So climate change. Whose fault is it? Well, okay, you could say policy, right? Fair enough. Policy drives it.
Capitalism, I would
Capitalism.
say,
You
actually.
might even say the energy companies go and protest.
Yeah.
So now it's the financial institutions,
They play an important role because they
that
invest
the
in fossil
transport
fuels,
that
yes.
gets us around.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these protests...
What's next? Supermarkets for our food? Because
Yeah,
you could do
it's
that.
everything. That's what they're saying.
Okay,
These
so then,
protesters
yeah,
saying
right.
it's the entire system.
Well, let's all strip stark bollock naked and walk around with a candle. Actually, no, we can have a candle. Because where's that coming from? The wax.
Well, we can do that, but first we should do the more obvious things. So, you know, stop buying fast fashion, as we've covered. People
Right.
should eat less.
Well, there's definitely no chance of you doing any of that, so that's good.
That's
well
fine.
done.
People eat
What about
less
all
meat.
the? Hang on, how many bicycles have you got, Johnny?
Actually, none of those were new,
No,
so
but
I'm just
it doesn't
recycling.
matter. How many have you got?
That's like charity
How many have you got?
5, I think.
Yeah. So why do you need 5? How many resources have gone into that?
Because I say to my mates,
Don't drive your car to the pub,
yeah.
get on the bike, and we'll
Uh-huh.
save some emissions.
Yeah, as if. I think this is the problem with all of this, which is very simple, which is bandwagon jumping.
I agree
right?
that it's the
Without
bandwagon.
any proper, just read, okay? You can have an opinion, and if you agree, disagree, it doesn't matter, but have some facts behind it. We have a very polarized society now, where you're either seen as a climate denier or you've got to be, on the other side, like everything has to be broken down.
But you can't raise awareness
You've got to
nowadays
put
unless
this-
you're on a bandwagon.
Why?
So I
Why
agree
can't
that-
you raise
No,
awareness?
but it just doesn't happen.
Why can't you talk about the
To get
positivity
people
that the energy
talking,
sector
you
is
need to
doing?
be trending on Twitter or trending
a
on Facebook
tragic
or on the news.
life.
No, because before it was just the news. So I think she's doing a great job.
Anyway, let's park that before I end up hitting you. Although I wouldn't do that because I believe in the world and its rights. Dates for the diary. You might as well stay here because you've annoyed me so much anyway. Dates for the diary. They are?
Oh, God knows.
For God's sakes.
The only dates in my diary are the next protest.
Yes. June the 5th for the Energy Solutions Show. You must come along to that. And we've got some really good stuff coming along on our Disrupt Hut, including, you'll like this, scientists who've come up with using bamboo as a building material.
Yes.
Very
I've heard
big
about
in
that.
obviously Southeast Asia, but now, imagine that. These eco-protesters could love it.
Yeah.
Rip up their parquet flooring, stick bamboo on it. You can tell your dad, say, Papa, can we have some of that?
It is, concrete's actually
Yeah.
a big cause of
And we'll be doing
emissions.
stuff on bioenergy. We've got loads on graphene, loads of technical stuff and solutions for your businesses right now. So don't miss that on June the 5th. And then June the 26th is Telca. The deadline for it has been moved because we had so many people applying. So the deadline for it is now the 30th of April, which is next Tuesday. Right, and finally, this is a good one to end with after our stuff today. Gallup has done a poll of people around the world, 140 countries, and said which are the most stressed and angry and which are the happiest. And whatever you call people from Chad, the Chadians,
Just Chads.
the Chads, they are, and I can see why Chad might be very unhappy. So war-torn place. But Paraguayans,
Civil war and famine will do
d-
that.
yeah, it does do that.
Yeah.
Paraguayans, like this Paraguayan lady here, they're the happiest people on the planet.
Is she Paraguayan?
She is, look.
That looks French to me, that flag.
Well, that shows your ignorance. And you should wallow in it exactly like you're reporting on climate science. And anyway, and the Greeks are the most stressed.
I wonder why.
Poor peeps. So there you go. But there you go. We are not in this list because they've only given us the top 10 and the bottom 10. So we're somewhere in the middle, the Brits.
Like normal, just middling about.
Just middling around.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't forget to subscribe to Bork. Have you done a Bork this week?
Yes, EVs.
EVs.
So check that one out.
and your conclusion was?
They'll have to watch it to find out. I wouldn't wanna
Boom, what a
spoil it.
teaser. I like it. See, I like that bit. And finally...
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, hear that subscribe button. And finally, there's that moron we're trying to get on the show. Hashtag GetKev. He wanted to use a picture, if I can just... Look, that's supposed to be... Can you make us small? How small can you make us? Is that the smallest we can go? There we go. There we go. We've gone now. So that's a picture of me walking on the salt flats in America when we went on our trip. I have no idea why Kevin sent that in. If you can send something in,
That
make it
sounds like
funny.
quite a middle-class jet-setting type
It
of
was.
holiday. there.
I spent
Billowing
loads of money.
emissions.
I went and took the biggest car I could and I ran over a rabbit just to see what happened to its emissions. Anyway,
Wow.
hashtag GetKev. Anything you want to say before you sign off?
Long live the rebellion.
Yeah.
Woo!
And that's just in terms of his body odour. Ladies and gents, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.